I made a video a long time ago talking about how my guitar collection is a 401k plan that I can play. How did you get these guitars? Are you rich? Did you win the lottery? Did somebody give them all to you? None of that's true. And today I'm going to tell you how I did it and how you can too, if you just listen to what I'm about to tell you. I posted a video of my new studio as I was walking around. One of the most frequent comments was, "Tell me you won the lottery without telling me you won the lottery." I'm a wedding DJ and I do okay. I'm not rich. I understand that I have accumulated in what now I'm equating to my 401k plan a whole lot of assets, guitars, and you have to think to yourself, well, what's the plan? When I started accumulating all these guitars, collecting these guitars, buying them one by one, I wasn't thinking about the long game. I was just enjoying that I had recently become a wedding DJ and I could make $2,000 or $3,000 at a gig. If I just paid the bare minimum of my bills, I could go right onto Reverb or Craigslist and find myself a new friend. Something awesome to show how hard I worked this last weekend or this last month. There was never any intention of building wealth or trying to get a collection. The more I knew about what I feel comfortable, which is Gibson, Paul Reed Smith, Martin, a little bit of Fender, the things that I know, the more I realize the deals are out there because there are always musicians that need money. There are always going to be guitar players and people that run recording studios that buy their dreams and then next month they got to pay their bills. Or pay their daughter's car insurance because she just smashed it right into the front of the house. Things happen. Guitars get sold. Sometimes you have to move fast. And being somebody that shows up with the money at the right time, in the right place, can be advantageous if you know what you're looking at. Secondly, you remove the emotion from what you're looking at. And third, you get in at the right price. Buy low, and when you sell it high. So what I started doing is very similar to a 401k plan. You can build your retirement assets. You make so much at a check and you can say, hey, I want to take 10, 15, 20, 25, 50% of my check and put it to your 401k plan. And many times, whatever company you're working for may say, hey, we'll match it. Maybe we'll even double it for a certain period of time. So the idea is that you are incentivized to put money away so that you can be protected when you're older and have this money, as you get it after 59 or 60 or retirement age, something like that. I'm not there yet. The thing is you can't touch that money. And if you do, there's usually a penalty. Sometimes it's 10%. It's not good to take it out early because the idea is hold on to this money so that when you need it, when you're older and retired, that you have it. I'd pay my rent, I'd pay my cell phone bill, I'd pay everything right on time, and whatever was left, whatever I needed for food, and then 2 guitars. Then 2 equipment. When my friends were going out drinking, when my friends were going on vacations, I was buying this Paul Reed Smith for $1,350 off Reverb. This is a core guitar. This is probably a $3,000 to $3,500 guitar. $1,350. It's got a ding or 2 on it. What a deal. And I very quickly realized with Reverb and with Craigslist that there were always deals. It just comes down to, do you know what you're looking at? Are you willing to spend the time to investigate what you're looking at? And do you have the money to show up and take that guitar and bring it back? If I can buy a guitar and be able to get out of it at any time, that means that if I bought this for $1,350 on a Monday, then on a Friday, I could sell it for at least $1,350, if not more, immediately. Because there's a big difference between what something is worth and what you can sell it for now. If you need to sell something, it's tantamount to having to take something out of your 401k plan early. There's a penalty. If I need to move it because I have to pay a bill that's due at this month, that's when someone else is getting the deal. That's when you get the penalty and don't get as much if you just held on to it for a little longer. For somebody to offer you a deal you can't refuse. I hear all the time that guitars are a terrible investment if you don't know what you're looking at. And at any point in the market, whether it's good or bad, you get in at the wrong price, you're always gonna lose. You're playing the long game because a 401k plan is the long game. Buy the guitar and hold on to it. So if you're looking to go on to Reverb right now or Craigslist and just buy a guitar and move it really quickly, there's tons of people that do it, and that's a great thing that you can do, but it's not the same as going back and putting it into the vault and having a guitar that's going up exponentially every year. While the market is fickle, Les Paul standards went from $2,500 to $1,800 in the used market, they fluctuate. I never, ever buy anywhere near those prices because one of the most imperative things to my success has been to remove the emotion, have the budget ready, and to wait till the deals present themselves. I would go do a wedding and then know how much I'm getting, know that all my bills are paid, and then say, I have $1,500 left to play with. I could eat, or maybe, what can I find? And I would look for whatever is the best deal at that moment. I wasn't intending on buying a 1912 Martin 021. Looky here, one of 11 made, shipped on December 27th, 1912. So this was probably a Christmas present. Got this for $1,100. At the time, I didn't know a whole lot about Martins, but I did send pictures off to Groon's Guitars, and he immediately told me it was worth $5,000. Now, we're about 8 or 9 years later. These guitars go regularly, $8,000 to $12,000 in this condition. This is all original, never had a neck reset. You have the Brazilian rosewood back. This is everything you would hope to find. I found it on Craigslist, on an ad that had literally no picture. And I went down the rabbit hole of chasing this guy, and eventually he showed up to my house with his fiance, who was so excited for him to sell the guitar. I didn't know a whole lot about it. He didn't know a whole lot about it. But what I did know is I was totally happy to give him his $1,100 and take my chances. Because I knew enough about Martin that if I got a 1912 021 thing played and it wasn't in pieces, I'm winning. And according to George Groon, I won $4,000. I always say guitars are on the list, and this 50th anniversary has been on my list since 2008 when I first saw one at Guitar Center, and I said, I need this guitar. So I waited online, and they regularly go for $2,000, $3,000, $3,500. So I ended up getting this for $1,385 plus shipping because I had been waiting for years for that deal to arise so I could buy this guitar. Showed up in my feed, and lo and behold, 1 week later, because I wanted the 40th anniversary Flying V, the matching Explorer needed to come to the 401k. I'd been waiting for this, but the problem is the Explorers usually go for more. 1 week after, guys, 6 years ago, $1,385 plus shipping, $889.50 plus shipping for an Explorer. $889 for this 50th anniversary Explorer. Now granted, it didn't come with the case. It's a little beat up. It didn't have the truss rod cover. This is a $3,500 to $4,000 guitar in this condition in 6 years. Bought it for $889, worth at least 5-6 times that. The Flying V worth at least twice what I paid for it. I don't know of any investment plan where you're gonna make those type of dividends unless you're doing some really, really risky stuff. I knew even 6 years ago, if I spent $889, I will never have a problem getting my money back and more money than I paid for it. I've always said that PRS is gonna be like Gibson and Fender in 50 years. I look at collecting Paul Reed Smiths now being the same as trying to collect something like this 54 Esquire 25 years ago. You could get it at a reasonable price, and now you could buy a Volkswagen with this thing. If I can find custom 24s for the right price, I will buy every single one of them. This is a 10-top. It's a 2005. Someone put these Electric City PAF clones in there, double whites, really nice pickups. It's not worth as much when you do that. I bought it for $1,100 with $50 shipping. I've done reviews on Paul Reed Smith SEs that cost more than I paid for a 10-top Core Custom 24. I can double my money on this any day. And then if I wait, I could probably even triple my money to the right buyer. So there's always the thought that guitars may not be cool anymore. People won't even care about guitars. Those guitars will be worth less. Maybe people will be into the new iPhone guitar. Maybe. But let me throw a little stat at you. 10% of the world's population plays guitar. That's 712 million people. That's what Google said. So the idea that guitars will be rendered obsolete, very low. My buddy Joe, who works at Manchester Music Mill, he had a bunch of these online. And my buddy Heath from Boston Guitar said, hey man, those are really cheap. You should raise the price on them. You know what Joe said to Heath? Why don't you come down and buy every Jackson that I have? And that's what Heath and I did. I got each one of these guitars for $1,350. These are both 87 Jackson custom shop dinkies. Now, I'm not a huge Jackson guy. I don't know a whole lot about it, so it's not exactly my normal lane. But I've dealt with enough Jacksons to know that almost anything that says Jackson USA is in the $2,000 to $3,000 range starting. They're very valuable guitars, and I know, even if I snap the headstock on this and fix it, could sell this for at least $1,350. When I talked to my expert friend JB, he told me that these are worth 2 to 3 times what I paid for them, maybe even more to the right buyer. Saw this L6S for $535 plus $40 shipping. Now granted it has EMGs in it, granted it's not the most popular Gibson model, but I know that a lot of people ignored the Norlin era for a very long time and they didn't really care about these guitars. But now, just a few years later, see these regularly going for $1,500, sometimes $2,000. I was smart enough to get it signed by my friends like Nuno Betancourt and Glenn Hughes and Jason Bonham and Barry Goudreau from Boston and Gary Sharon and John Dene from Anthrax. Oh, and of course, Billy Gibbons. Which brings me to this beautiful Les Paul Elegant. I did a whole video on this guitar because I realized that this guitar cost me nothing. In a period of about 3 or 4 years, I was able to buy a guitar, trade a bunch of guitars up, end up banking the money, and ending up with a free $4,500 to $5,500 custom shop Les Paul in peacock green. I have this 401k plan hanging around me that I can play. I have all of these things that I bought at low prices that at any time I can liquidate my assets. But do I drive a Ferrari? No. Can I afford to go on vacation all the time? No. Do I buy the cheap store-bought brands for many things? Only the stuff that doesn't say from concentrate. No one gave me anything. I worked really hard. And every single one of these guitars represents a weekend, a month, 6 months of time, of love, of passion, of showing up, doing the job, and working hard. I didn't go and spend my money on stupid things that many people spend their money on. I stayed focused and bought what I love. I had the wherewithal to know that what I love can go up in value. And if you understand the concept of getting in at the right price, not buying the Ferrari new, buying the Ferrari more than used that they have to dump because they're having a divorce. That's every one of these guitars. Every one of these guitars was somebody's flash sale, was somebody I need rent money, was somebody who just didn't care and wanted to get rid of it. And then the rest of it is just my neurosis. The more I learned, the more I wanted more. And then the more I realized how well I was doing, the more I wanted to do better. So if you think that you can't do this, the biggest problem is you thinking that you can't do it. This is not something that happens overnight. This is not something that you just casually do. This is something that you make a decision in your life, like your 401k plan. I'm gonna give 80% of my check every single week, and I'm not gonna care if I get a Gibson, a Fender, a Paul Reed Smith. That the only thing that I care about is, am I getting the best deal, and can I parlay that deal into better deals and turn that into a deal snowball? So that at the end of the day, you end up with a free custom shop Les Paul.
Why don't you smash that subscribe button already?